Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Debbie. This is my Crafty Dan, and this is another Memorydex Challenge Monday. The point of this challenge is to encourage you just to create something every week. Dig into those supplies, get them out. Don't be a hoarder. Actually use what you have. So you can use my prompt, or you can just do your own style. The only things that I have specific to this challenge are that you create something specific to your own holidays, to travel, vacation, those types of things that you do. Be true to you and what's happening in your life. And also, most importantly, on the week of your birthday, do yourself a little birthday affirmation card. Do something for yourself. So I have been doing lately, my last few prompts have been shapes. And I did tiles, which was little squares and rectangles in my background. And then I did circles in my background. And both of those cards turned out quite nice. So I thought this week's prompt would be in that shapes. And I'm going to do strips or stripes or however you want to say it. I just went into my bin and started grabbing pieces of paper out. I wasn't even looking at the colors. And I cut quite a large stack of strips. And then I narrowed it down to these greens and pinks and neutral colors here. And I'm just going to layer these on the background and do a background of strips or stripes, if you will. I'm just going to use my Scotch permanent glue stick. I found one. I don't know how much there is left in this, but I am definitely going to use this. Let me put a little piece of my plastic packaging down, and I am just going to put some on here, and then I'm going to lay my first strip down. I'll make sure that I've got the part that I glued. I'm going to go right to the edge of this so that I only have to trim off the top and the bottom of this card when I'm done. I was doing something else here. I'm working on my full deck challenge cards because I got a few weeks behind and now I have black on my fingers. So back to this. I thought that if I did a lighter color, I would do a darker or a neutral color. Now I'm going to put this one off a little bit, because your stripes don't have to be straight up and down. I'm using the stripes or the strips. I don't know how to say it. I'm using them to create my background. I just don't think that everything has to be lined up perfectly. So I'm going to put a light one in here now. What did I pick up? Well, this is pineapples. So I'm going to move this one over this way a little bit. So see, that one is not perfectly straight. Let me see. Here's a darker one. So there's some roses on that, some pineapples on that, some florals on this one. Don't know what I'll have next. Maybe I need another little bit of green in here. Is this piece long enough? It is. It'll be a stretch, but so this will be the fastest background I think I've ever created, because there's no thought involved when you're just keeping everything together and you don't really care. So another piece of the pink. So will that work? I think it will. I think it will. Now remember, once I get my background done using my shapes, I always do something to this. So I'm going to go there. Now there's a little glue on the front of this, but I'm going to trim this out and I'll be right back. So I have my card trimmed out and punched. All I do is turn it over to the back and line it up. I have the Heidi Swap Memorydex Punch. Not everybody has that, but there are a lot of places where you can look up to see how to make your Memorydex base. As long as they're 4 inches wide and your center holes with the little slits are an inch apart and completely centered, you're good to go. So that's the quick version. So I just recently purchased it a while ago. It took a long time to come. I ordered off of Amazon because I've never seen this in my area. But this is the transparent, the clear gesso from Art Basics. And this is a Finnabair. Yeah, Finnabair product by Prima Marketing. So I got it off of, I don't even know where it came from. It probably had to be shipped from the US. Yes, I know, I'm bad. But I've been looking and looking for a gesso that doesn't have grit. And this feels so smooth. So I may have finally found what I'm looking for. So I am going to grab the card again and my paintbrush. This one's a little wider. Just going to grab it out of my water. Like I said, I've been crafting, so a lot of things haven't been put away from the last time. And I'm just going to grab a little bit of this. And then I'm going to put, oh my gosh, guys, that goes on so different from the gritty gesso. So I don't need a lot of grit in a lot of the things that I do. And it's simply because I'm just looking for a coating that will protect the paper product that I have in the background on my base, if you will. And wow, and it dries really quick too. So yeah, it's just going on here like, I don't even know what is going on here. Like, I don't think I've had anything that quite goes on this smooth. It just really glides. So making sure that I have it everywhere. And the coat is thin, thin, thin. Yeah, this will be like 1 minute to dry. This is much more flexible after I've dried it too than the gesso that I used before. It's very matte. There's no shine to it. This little spot right here isn't quite dry, but it's looking pretty good. I want to add some depth to this. So I think what I'm going to do, let me see. I've got some Inktense pencils, and I have to thank a viewer who explained something about the Inktense pencils to me. So I've been calling them a watercolor pencil, but she explained to me that they have an ink base that's water soluble, and once it dries, it's permanent. So you can go over top of it with gesso or something like that, and it's not supposed to smear. It's because I overlapped these. I plan on going around the outside edge and then going along the edge that's overlapping the next card and creating a shadow line. So maybe I'll just do it in, what am I going to do it in? Maybe I'll do it in the navy instead of the black, just to be a little bit different. I'm going to grab a wet brush, get a little wee bit on here. Maybe I need to use the green. Maybe I'm using the wrong one. Let me switch, because I've got green in here. Just a little bit. Now, is this going to show up on here? I need a little extra water. So I don't think this is going to show up as a color on the brown, but it will show up as a shadow. This just glides over that gesso too, way more than it did over the gesso that has the grit in it. They just call it a texture gesso. There, and then there. So I'm going to go back over, picking up a little more pigment. I get a little too much water. Let me grab my... And I'm going to go there. So I have my stripes. I'm going to take my black. I'm just going around the edge. You can barely see it on the card. And I'm not going to use my brush because I have found that using my finger is absolutely the best way to do this. So some clean water, just enough to get my finger wet. And it goes over the edge just enough. Make it a little more intense. So all I'm doing is just rolling my finger over the top just a little bit more than I was before. So I have a background, and it's a strange little background, but I like it. So I want another coat of gesso on top of this. So I'm grabbing a brush. This is a wider brush because I don't want to rub back and forth over this. I'm going to start at the center and brush each way like this. I'm doing it this way because if it does spread any of this, so far it's not, but I was thinking that if it did spread any, it would go up and down the line. It wouldn't spread it out onto the card. There. And it's not making anything run. That's pretty remarkable. So this is my focal point, and I'm going to put this down on here. It's a strange little background, I know, but I think it's going to work. I also have the leaves that I cut off of this. So these leaves were on this plant, and trimming things like this out is very, very difficult. So my thoughts are, do it the easiest way you possibly can. I have this glue stick that you can reposition for a couple of minutes. I mean, it does take a minute to dry, but the fact that you can reposition something when you want to is really, it's really a bonus sometimes when you're working on this. So I think my flower has to come from off the side like that. Not the side, but to the left side. And my leaves. This is another product, this glue stick. It doesn't grab and drag on my paper. So I'm going to take that leaf and put it so that it's there. And this one, do I want to put it up a little bit? So this is, that's what you can do with that glue stick. Once it dries, you can't get it up. But yeah, I just lifted that piece up because I can still move this. And I thought this would be a pretty important item to have in my stash. Okay, put that back down and then put that on top. So that way I got to slide that leaf there under that flower a little bit. And I've done that so many times, trying to decide where I want to put something, lay out my card, pick my pieces up, and then put the wrong one down first, and I can't get the piece underneath that I wanted to. So for me, and if you're a crafter like me, that's a big help. So this will dry in a couple of minutes, or not completely dry, but it'll be dry enough. I need some more gesso on top of this. There. This is dry. So I put a coat over everything because I want to do a little bit of highlighting with white around my focal point. This is so smooth now. I'm thinking that these are going to blend so much nicer. I may need a little bit of water as well to water this down even more. So I'm using my already watered down white paint. That's better. So I'm just pulling this really thin wash around these petals. And like I said, it's really washed out, really thinned down. It's a little bit, when you add this much water to paper, you get a little bit of bending. So I'm getting a little bit of rolling here when I'm trying to do this. So it's mostly water with just a little white in it, which is giving me this soft white, shadowy, almost a cloudy feel. And anytime you feel like you're getting too much water and not enough paint, just add a little tiny dab of paint to your mixture. And if I go around my leaves, because this darker leaf is also on a little bit darker background, it should help those leaves come off the page a little bit more. So anytime I get any paint up on top of my focal image, I just take my finger and it just comes right back off of there because of the gesso. But when I do these pieces, I think this part's really important because I want my focal image to be what I'm looking at. And I do love when my focal point is highlighted all around and it's popped off the background. There. So also, I'm going to put that brush in some water and I'm going to grab some thin white paint on my fan brush. And then I'm gonna go quite heavy with the white dots, but I'm gonna focus on the outside. A little bit will go on my focal point, but not too much. And I like this one. It says, shine like the whole universe is yours. And that flower is shining, I think. So I am going to use this sentiment here. I'm going to cut it here. And I'm going to cut it here. There. And I'm going to use my Tumble liquid glue. Now this glue works perfect for paper crafting. It dries clear. I grab my black paint pen. These paint pens are another thing that I find is a real game changer. But I'm just going to draw just around each of these. Ooh, I let a lot of paint out that time. When you push the nib down, the paint comes out. And I usually don't push it down for that long. It's usually just a really quick little tap. So let that be a lesson to me. I have stickles, and this is the diamond stickles. So it takes on whatever color is in the background, really. If there's enough of this for me to use, I think there is. And I think because it says shine like the whole universe is yours, I think this needs just a little stickles. And I think I'm just going to put it on the darker of the leaves, or the petals, not leaves. Very, very little out, and then I just kind of drag it and spread it around. There, and I think that's it. I'm not going to put a whole ton on. So this is my Memorydex card number 16, and the prompt was stripes. So let me know in the comments, are you joining along? Are you making a Memorydex card every week? Are you doing a different piece of art every week? Are you just crafting with me while you do something completely different? I will see everybody in the next video, but not if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet. So please do that before you leave. And have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye for now.